Hi everyone, this is Shobhit Mathur from Dhwani Rural Information Systems. Thanks a lot for joining the call and showing interest in this new demo. I've been joined by Prerak Madan, who is project manager at Dhwani Rural Information Systems, and I've been joined by Abhishek and Mohit from Team Glific. And today on this call, we are going to give you a demo of a WhatsApp chatbot for use by farmers and facilitated by the NGOs or donors who are supporting those farmers. So first of all, just wanted to quickly thank that we have been doing this webinar series, and a lot of you I'm seeing in today's list also have been regularly participating and showing interest. So thanks for that. I'll quickly cover the scope of the plan for the call today. So we'll be talking about our organizations quickly, and then we'll basically get into the demo on the live WhatsApp chatbot, wherein we will show what we are planning to address as a problem statement. And then we will also understand more in depth about the Glific platform on which the WhatsApp chatbot has been set up as a demo today. And that's the first 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll be opening up for the question and answers to understand any open use cases, because as I was seeing the attendees today in the list, there are a lot of you who have already worked on a lot of chatbots and have quite a good background also. We'll be happy to have your inputs, feedbacks as well, and on what you think can be enhanced in this, and what you think could be a better practical use case also. So yeah, I'll basically, for those who are new to us, this is Dhwani. This basically Dhwani Rural Information Systems. We are a social sector focused IT services firm doing this work since past 6.5 years, and coming from a background of IT plus experience of grassroots level. The team at Dhwani, approximately 100-member team based out of Gurgaon, we build IT solutions for non-profit sector only, and with the understanding that the grassroots level problem statements are quite varied. They are quite specific to each organization, and each problem statement requires certain set of solutions. So with that understanding, we have been building a lot of IT solutions which have different parts, say data collection apps, MIS report generation system dashboards, and impact assessment systems. And all of these work in resource constrained environments, like without internet, and they can be used by people who are not very technologically advanced in terms of understanding or experience. And at the same time, leaderships can also see all the data points and analytics on the top. So based on our experience of working with different clients for their tailor-made problem statements, we realize there are certain specific buckets in which all problems could be categorized. And this is what we have created as a bouquet of platforms. The M-Grant, M-Form, M-Learn, Fund Impact, and Glific. And what we have seen due to COVID, the Glific, the chatbot is a use case which is emerging very rapidly, because the COVID-induced physical restrictions on ground have forced a lot of field organizations to reach out virtually or remotely to the field staff. So, and even to the community and the target audience. So how do we now, in such case, digitize the outreach, digitize the follow-ups, and digitize the engagement with the beneficiaries, so that the touch which is normally maintained in physical group-based meetings can still be continued, if not as perfectly as physical, but at least near to that what we can achieve. So with that objective, we have been organizing this series of webinars where we have been addressing different thematic areas and use cases. Earlier it was skill development, and in other case it was education. Today we are focusing on farmer-focused chatbots. I'll come into that detail. And a lot of these solutions are being deployed for organizations like these, which you are seeing here. I'll not get into too much detail right now. And yeah, Abhishek, if you can quickly talk about Glific also 2 minutes, and then we can move into the live demo.
Oh, for sure. So, hey everyone, Glific is basically a WhatsApp chatbot. So it allows you to create automated conversations on WhatsApp. Now, it's basically agnostic of all platforms. But today you will see what Dhwani has created for farming use case. But you can deploy it in various other aspects of your programs as well, whether it's education or career counseling, etc. What ends up happening is that you build automated conversations that you can send out to your beneficiaries at a scheduled time, um, um, and you have full customization at the back end to create those conversation flows. And at the end of it, you get all the data that you collect from Glyfic, from the WhatsApp conversations, and you can generate customized reports and everything, which you'll probably see here in the course of the webinar.
So thanks, Abhishek. So just for if anyone is curious to how we are operating here together, Glific is an open source platform which has been developed by the team Glific, and Dhwani is the implementation partner for Glific because we talk to different NGOs. We also come across different problem statements, and based on those problem statements, we work with the Glific team to set up the chatbots for different use cases. That's how we work together here. And the use cases which we see are normally addressed in this manner, what you are seeing on the screen. There are menu-based response. So if any one of you have anytime used a Make My Trip website, or you have used any other WhatsApp chatbot, this is in terms of look and feel very similar, where the attempt is not to complicate anything and continue with the existing prior experience or exposure to chatbots, where you can type certain message, you get an automated response, you choose from a set of messages, and based on that you get further content or message or data. And this can be applied in different use cases. Like it could be a broadcast based outreach where every Monday, Friday, and Saturday you can send certain advisory to certain users. It could be demand or need based information where someone can individually ask that I have a certain specific problem. From the list of 5 items, I want to know about item 4, and then I want to see further details. So, and then there are certain additional integrations which are possible, which are very specific to the programs, and say certain CRM integration, certain case management requirements, and other details or dashboards. Those are very much customizable as a backend integration to this. And the whole platform is available in two models: license-based, basically a self-serving model, and a managed service model. A self-serving model basically is where it is available as a standard off-the-shelf platform to you, and you can directly use it with your team, supported by technical team from Glific or consulting team from Glific. If there are certain very detailed or consulting-driven requirements where we have to understand the field level scenarios and do a detailed process level discussions also, then Glific and Dhwani work together to arrive at a most feasible technology solution, and we deploy it. Right? That's how we work on it, and there are different support mechanisms to support the teams on ground which are using this, and the community. So that takes care of any new interventions, new rollouts where chatbot is a new system being introduced. Now, with this, I'll stop. I'll ask my colleague Predak to share his screen, and then we'll see how a live use case has been implemented. I'll meanwhile introduce you what we are attempting in this demo. So basically, what we are seeing is that the farmers are being provided different types of support services by a lot of NGOs and government programs. Now, what happens is that different types of services like input-related information, like market-related information, or proper advisory, or the package of practices, and different other details, they are normally provided by individual field-level CRPs or community resource persons. Now, because of COVID and non-COVID reasons also, the physical outreach and the time cost effort of it is quite high. The objective of the chatbot is, can we reduce the time cost and effort, either of them, for a specific organization, where we can automate certain first level of queries on the WhatsApp chatbot. If the queries are getting answered, the farmers can refer the chatbot itself. Otherwise, they can then escalate it to next level, which is the CRP, and that can take care through a regular implementation model. So here we are talking about the level 1 query and content and information sharing, assuming that what we are showing here right now is all. So basically, a farmer typically could be a local language based. What the ground reality we have to be aware is that a farmer or a facilitator needs to have a smartphone which has a working internet connection. Then, while we have implemented this chatbot for demo purpose in English, this can be equally visible in similar menu-based options in any local language also. So that is a concern which is anyways addressed. And based on this, different flows, what we are showing here is a demo flow. The flows can be customized or tailor-made as per any organization's specific workflows. Here we have assumed that the person who is using this is a farmer, and they are logging into the system. They have been given a phone number by the NGO partner that you can save. That basically, if the NGO field person says to a farmer that please save this number for any queries which you have, and for any additional or escalated queries, you can then reach out to us. So the farmer will save the chatbot number on mobile. Once they save the mobile number on mobile, they will be able to log in to basically see the chatbot like this. To start it, they have to just first type a trigger message. So, say for example, right now Prerak is typing farmer. So this could be anything else, a random text also. When you type a trigger message, then you see a menu-based option available. So a menu-based option is something like this, depending on what you want to show to the farmer. Here we have created a menu of top, say 8 to 9 type of queries which normally farmers need to be answered. Okay. Of this, we have automated the first 3 parts just to give you an idea how it works. So now, assuming I am a farmer, I want to know about the input-related information, something which is related to the fertilizer or pesticides or information pre-harvest. So I will be asked certain questions in a response to one. So the responses are kept codified so that the farmers can enter a number in English or in a local language. Based on that, the response can come. So when I type one, I got a response. Please choose the input. The input was whether I want to know about input fertilizer or seed others, or I wanted to return to main menu. So when I pressed one, then the list of fertilizers came up. The fertilizers like DAP or other fertilizer names are visible. Now, if I want to know about specific fertilizer, I will enter its code. Say, for example, I enter one as DAP. Then I will now see what is the specific information about the product here. So basically, I want to know what is the quantity, I want to know what is the price. Based on that, who are the specific vendors available. So by going through this iterative flow, I can see the specific detail. Like I want to purchase it in one quantity in 120 kg, so I will enter the quantity. When I enter the quantity, it will ask me, please, please basically enter the location. So here you can enter the GPS coordinates. The farmer can enter GPS coordinates. There are backend API integrations available, which can help us suggest the nearest possible vendors for that fertilizer. So here, when I enter a GPS coordinate, then accordingly, I can get the list of vendors near to me. Just to clarify here, this is an automated system we have done. Backend API integration is not there. Say the logic that where I enter the GPS and my nearest vendor, this is the automated default response. But based on someone being in Maharashtra, getting specific vendor in his location, that is something which we can customize at a later stage. So I enter my GPS, I get my nearest fertilizer provider details through this format. So this is how you can get the information regarding any input, or a farmer can get any information regarding any input. That's the first part. Now, in case I want to have information on the opposite side, that I want to sell my produce. So for that, there are options to first go back to the main menu, and then obviously once you arrive at the main menu, now I want to talk about that I have produced certain type of crop. I have harvested it. Now after harvesting, I want to take it to the market. So what is the different, what is the rate, or what are the different buyers available near to me? Now again, here there are certain mappers or unique identifiers we have to ask a farmer. Here, just for example, we have put a pin code, and it is very clear that every farmer might not know a pin code and their location. We have to mutually understand from you in that case what is your identifier which a farmer can enter. Based on that, he can be asked further questions. So here, assuming pin code is entered, the farmer will be asked what is the list of crops which you want to market. So from a list, he will have to choose. Just a reminder, all of it is in English right now. This all will appear in a local language format for the specific farmer. So if they enter the quantity, say for maize crop, I choose wheat, then I will. So I entered 2, which means I have chosen wheat. Now it is asking me the quantity which I want to sell. Then I will enter quantity 200. And when I enter the quantity, now it will ask me what is your expected price. So this is typically usable in a scenario where we are not digitizing end-to-end transaction. but we just want, if an NGO wants to know that in my community how many farmers have produced which crop in what quantity and what are they expecting, and you want to see that finally in a simple, say, Excel output. So this data from here can go into that Excel sheet. That is the backend integration available with the chatbot, so that you will be very clear that these are the farmers who have produce certain quantity of certain crop, and my further market linking activities should be not driven by this. So this is a very need based. So this helps you generate the data points in terms of need, and those data points help you plan your further market outreach activities. So that is how the market produce, the market linkage facilities can be provided to you to the farmer by the data which is available from chatbot. Okay. So this is the second use case which we saw. First, we were seeing how you get the input information, the localized vendor for it. Second, we have seen how do we get the market info, how do we submit a request for selling, which can be taken up by a facilitating agency. But yeah, now we will go to the farmer advisory part. That if I'm not interested right now in the input information or the market information, I want to know about the different type. I want to access different content, the videos content for different types of best practices. I can go to 3 and press 3. Now I can be given an option, choose what we want to see, whether POP, whether weather information, or whether price related information. Here we have right now automated the POP, the package of practices which can be shared with the farmer. So when you click on one, it will ask you which the POP practices in which bucket, pre-sowing or post-sowing or post-harvest. So depending on that stage, we can drill down to the specific content. So if I press 3 here for the post-harvest information, and then I choose my specific crop, say I press 1 or other option, I press 3, yeah, so I press 1 here. Now based on that, I will be shown the specific message. So here right now it is it will show the video which is going to come against the specific crop. Now, so which option have you selected for this right now? You have selected one. Yeah. Okay. So basically, at the end, you will see a video like this which was loading. So the video can now be seen by the farmer in a very contextual manner. So I, as a farmer, know what type of information I want to see. Based on that, I will give the input to the chatbot, and it will throw back similar content in terms of video or PDF files or content to me. So this is how the chatbot will work, and this is only the tip of the iceberg which we are right now trying to cover. There are a lot of additional scenarios which can be covered in this, and there are a lot of use cases which can be covered in this, and we'll be happy to hear them out in the chat. Also, you can keep typing in the chat box if you want to ask any specific additional scenario, whether it is getting addressed or not. It can be addressed or not, right? So all of this data which comes from here goes into the backend portal, and I'll be in a few minutes handing over to Abhishek that when data comes from the mobile chatbot onto a web portal, how will that look to a person managing the chatbot? So the chatbot is operating in a larger context where there is an NGO specific data management or a program manager person who is coordinating the information sharing with all the farmers. That person will have an access to the web portal. The web portal will show you that which farmers have messaged and queried, and which farmers have what type of query, and you can do all the configurations and changes there. Right? So for the configuration part of this and how do we set up the whole chatbot, I will be, and for the overall detailed features of chatbot, I'll hand over to Abhishek. And once Abhishek completes, we will be then going into the question and answers. Meanwhile, for this specific scenario, if you have any queries, please feel free to type in the chat. We'll be then answering after Abhishek completes. Yeah. Over to you, Abhishek.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Shobit. I am just pulling up the interface for the data thing you mentioned, the BigQuery and Data Studio, and then we can show how it's mentioned. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen and show you the interface, Glific interface, how all of those conversations have been set up, and then I'll take you to the data bit, because then adding all of that will be a lot easier. Okay. So I hope you can see my screen. I'll just quickly
Yeah.
log into this. Okay, so this is one of the accounts I'm accessing right now, and it is the production application, in fact. You see all the conversations here. So the conversation that was happening with the farmer, and the chatbot can be viewed here. Like, I mean, that's a different account altogether, but I'll just show that all the contacts are, can be accessed here. And if you click on a contact, you can see the conversation history and everything that they've been accessing on their WhatsApp platform. Now, to build the automated conversation flow specifically, we need to go into this section called flows, and we use a highly user interface driven method to create the conversations. So, for example, I'll go into one of the flows and try to show you um, some of the features. So, in essence, what you need to remember is that there is a back and forth conversation happening between your bot and the beneficiary, right? So, all you need to do is perform two functions: send a message and wait for a response. So, it's like you're sending a message. So, when you send a message, the beneficiary receives a message on their WhatsApp, and based on your message, they will respond something back to you, and you need to interpret what they responded and then perform certain actions based on that. And most of the time, certain actions, those actions will be sending the next message, right? So you send a message, you get response, and then there are various functions that you can do. So not to confuse you all here, and it will become a lot more clear when I explain it. So between sending and getting a response, there are various things you can do to manage the conversations, like adding a label. Now, for example, in the farmer conversation, you saw that there were responses that the end user was sending. So based on that response, you can you can categorize them, let's say based on their needs, right? So you can label them, or you can also put them in collections. So collections are like these groups of just hang on please, this is a bit disturbing, the notifications. I'll turn this off and then come back. Yeah. So you can also put them here in collections, which is like, let's say you want to group certain farmers based on their interest, right? Based on what services they need from you. So you can put them in collections. And then you can also save information that they're sending you. So in the example that we saw, they submitted the price that they were expecting for their produce. So in that you can update the contact, and I'll just cover at a very broad level, guys, so that you get an idea of what all can happen, how you can start thinking about your conversation flows, and then when you want to go into very specific, we'll give you those specific demos also. How you can use the platform yourself as well. So like in update contact, you can save the information that the end user is sending. This is the information or the data point that you're collecting, which will be shown on your BigQuery, and then you can map it. In reports as well. You can generate data from other sources also, like labels. For example, you want to see how many farmers responded A versus how many farmers responded B. So you can just label that response and then see that in your BigQuery as well, right? Um, and then a few other things you can do is like bring on staff member. So send broadcast messages like you have staff members, and if a farmer gets stuck somewhere during the conversation, you can send a WhatsApp message to your staff member saying, hey, please check this conversation out. So you're basically somewhere in the flow, you're nudging or you're alerting your staff members as well. um, so these are some of the functions that enable you to manage conversations at a large scale. We also have different languages. I believe you must be aware, but English, Hindi, Urdu, Marathi, even international languages and all regional languages are also there. All you need to do is click on this message itself, do a translation, and then paste it here, and that's it. You're good to go. So you don't need to create multiple flows or conversations, keep separate entries. There's just one flow. All of your languages get saved here. It's very that's why it's like visual interface driven. Even for attachments and attachments, you can just go into the message, click your attachment, look at what you want to add, image, like the image you saw in the farmer message that Shobit had set up. So yeah.
Say, for example, a farmer in proper advisory would want to share the image of an insect or a pest. So that
Right.
is where they can be asked from the chatbot to enter the photo of the crop or the insect, and that image is what can be accepted and stored as per the process what Sheikh is sharing.
Correct. So yes, Shobit. So there are both parts, right? This is for sending the image to the end user, and for collecting also you can do that. So and then for collecting you can also have validation. Let's say whether the response had an image or not. So if it did not have image, you can say, hey, can you send us the image of that crop which was destroyed or so on. And if you want to check image, video, location, all of that validations you can do, and then perform the next action. Great. So this is how you build conversations, and then when you're done, when you feel like you're done, you can also preview the conversation. So it gives you a small like this mobile simulator with beneficiary on it, written on it, so you know that this is what the beneficiary is experiencing. So once you've designed your flow here, put in all these blocks together, before you make it live for your end users, you can quickly check it out here, and it'll work exactly like your end user's phone as well. So you can type in numbers, and it'll run it exactly like what Shobit just showed you on actual WhatsApp screen. So we have the simulator, and I think it's a really cool way for you to test the experience before making it live. So if there are kinks somewhere, if you feel that so a message did not go out the way you wanted to, like for example here, I'm not sure why the first message. Okay, so there is nothing to happen here after one, so it didn't go. So now I know like what's going on. But if I send another message, such as, actually we don't have a lot of messages here set up, but if I send something else, then the next process will happen, right? So this is the basics of like creating your conversation flows. We have a few other features to help you manage the conversation, like okay, so there's something called interactive message, which was released recently by WhatsApp, which is quite interesting, where generally you have messages with text, right? So far we've been showing you send 1 2 3 4, but there is also something called where messages can have buttons as well. So like in this message, we'll be able to help you. It can be emoji driven, it can be text driven, and you can set it up, and you can use it within the conversation as well. To set that up, all you need to do is go into your interactive message screen and create that message. So enter the title, enter the message body. So you can have buttons for up to 3 options. So like right, if you're just saying yes, no, maybe, so 3 options. But if you want to give them option to select from a list of, let's say, locations, you want to give them option for 10 locations, you can use list messages. And when you also create this message, you will see preview here in the simulator, how it's looking, so you can format it before sending it out. So I think this is a really cool feature that WhatsApp has introduced recently, and something that makes these conversations a lot more simpler, intuitive, easy to manage. And then we have something called triggers, which is nothing but scheduling messages at a specific time. Hey, Shobit, do let me know if there's a time check. I'll wrap up now.
Yeah, we have another 3-5 minutes.
Okay, great. So for triggers, you have the ability to send messages at a particular time. So let's say there's a farming cycle or crop cycle that you want to send messages at after 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, so on and so forth. So you can schedule all those messages as well. So once you create your message flow, you can select it here, have a start date, set the time, set its repeatability, when does it repeat or on what days, and then you're good to go. So these are some of the very important features. Actually, there's just one more thing I think I should show you, which is staff management itself. So all your team members can be onboarded onto the platform. there's no limit as such. And when they're onboarded on this staff management screen, you will see who they are, and you will be able to give them relevant access as well. And the access is, you can give them access to a specific collection set of contacts they can only manage, or if you just want them, if you want them to have, manager access or no access, or just the staff access. So you have various level of controls. And if you feel that some of your team members need to use the platform in in a certain language, let's say English or Hindi, you can also change the language of this interface altogether. Like now, I can use it in English and or Hindi.
So this could be very useful for the
Yeah.
localized context
Correct.
where
Correct.
the NPO is having a field staff or a program coordinator at a district or a block level, and the block level coordinator has to send advisory very specific to that region and that weather condition. So and they might not be very conversant with English. So with one training or two trainings on using the platform, they can set the flow in the local language by using the platform. Or anyway, there is a backend team which from our side can help them set up once they share the inputs. So what we are showing here is the how to part, how to set up. But in many cases, what happens that organizations either do not have the technical bandwidth or the resources to do the technical setup of the platform. What we do in that case, we provide a dedicated team to understand the field scenario. Based on that, create the flows which are approved by you. In that, we put the content and we provide you a ready to use chatbot. So on day one, you will get a number on which you can send a message. You can see the flow of messages and the content already in it. So your team needs to share the requirement in terms of through certain documents and content and process flows and we conversation flows, and we will then digitize the conversation flow onto the platform. So that's how it typically gets implemented. Yeah, Abhishek, anything else you wanted to cover? Or
Yeah, I think I'll just quickly take them to the data part, and then
yeah,
we can close this section. So all these messages and labels that I showed you earlier are getting stored here. This is the BigQuery platform. It may immediately instantly it may look a bit intimidating, but it's very once you get, there are a few controls that you need, which is so here is that number that people, your beneficiaries are messaging you at. There's a bot number, and as you can see, contacts, flows, messages, that's all there is. So all of your contact details are listed here. When you preview, you will see all those details. It's just it's like an Excel sheet itself, right? So all the details are presented here, and all of your flows, all the messages that a user sent at any particular time, you can get this here. Now from BigQuery, where all of your data resides, and BigQuery is a private, secure, server where application where your data is hosted, and you need to create an account on BigQuery and link it to Glific for all of your data to be permanently stored and accessed here. Right. If you need to go for any other solutions for data storage also, then you may need to involve your development team. But this is a good, out of the box solution that works. It's cost friendly as well. And now let me take you through Data Studio, where the reports are generated. So I'll show you the reports that we have created here in Glific, like how many messages have been exchanged, who are the people using it, when, what dates are the messages sent most. So these spikes are the messages that were sent on that particular day. But these are reports that are relevant to probably Glific team. You may create similar charts and graphs as per your organization, and the metrics or the data points that are valuable to you for your measurement and analysis. So yeah, it's a very customizable interface that Data Studio provides, and you can and we also have a template to get you started, a report template. Okay, great. So Shobit, I'll stop here. If there are any questions, I can take them up.
yeah, thanks Abhishek for that. With that, we have covered the demo of the farmer chatbot, where farmer access the chatbot, they queried for certain input related information, they queried for certain market related information, and they were given certain advisory. And then we saw how the data flows in to the system and can be seen on dashboard. Also, how you can set up one conversation flow yourself on a day-to-day basis. Um, so all of this combines the whole platform or the Glific platform chatbot what we wanted to showcase. We'll now take a pause and we'll take questions. I have few questions which I have received in the chat. And just for others' understanding, I'll just quickly repeat that. And in case anyone else is having questions, meanwhile, please feel free to type that also, or please unmute yourself and you can ask also. Uh, so, uh, so, so one question is, can you suggest ways? So, Erica Arya has asked, can you suggest ways of how we can help the farmer recall the service after first time use? Yes. So, for that purpose, there are two types of messages which are there. For the day-to-day conversation, it's a two-way interaction message flow. For the reminder messages, there is a broadcast which we can schedule, where you can say every 2 days or every 1 week, this message can go to a farmer so that the chat comes onto the top of the chat messages in the mobile. Because the farmer is parallelly talking to multiple 10 people. So every morning or every alternate day, they can see the farmer chatbot on the top of their message box. That's how you can remind them by sending a pre-scheduled broadcast message. Then Shweta has asked three questions. Is the solution only for non-profits or even available for for-profits? There is no restrictions on that. It is just that we as an organization are Dhwani as an organization works with non-profits, and Glific as an open source platform is being focused for non-profits. That is why it's an open source platform to reduce the platform license cost for the non-profits. That's why it is focused on non-profit universe. Any type of organization in that universe can use that. Then is this trust one official WhatsApp number is required? Yes, there is a WhatsApp number required. There is an official Facebook account registration required because Facebook and WhatsApp are sister concerns. And once that process of registration with the official organization and official phone number is done, after that the WhatsApp number gets activated, and that number then is circulated in the community for storing and communicating. Then is there an offline sync up feature there? So no. So basically, whatever queries which you have, those Abhishek will correct me. That is the latest status, right, on this feature. Then
Yeah.
whatever standard WhatsApp offline functionality will be applicable to the chatbot as well. So if you are expecting that I without internet I type a message and I should get a response, that will not happen on this. The response basically the how organizations manage that is they send certain information on a periodic basis, say every alternate day, because when the message is pushed from the top, when there is internet available, it will get pushed onto the mobile at that time. So the farmers will not miss on certain information just because they were not in internet zone at a specific point or time. Then is weather advisory a part of the package, or an organization needs to have their own advisory which will be linked to the system? So okay, so this has been asked by Yogesh. So Yogesh, the advisory. So consider this as a core platform, and anything coming in and anything going out is an integration. Fine. So if say uh, there is any weather advisory company which is having APIs available to send certain information to the farmer. So say if there is IBM's Watson, or if there is SkyMet's data available, weather information available, then or say if there is some government weather advisory information available, all of that information can be connected to the Glific platform by doing some connections, and through those connections, the data can flow into the individual chatbot of the farmers. So through that approach, we have to integrate and then push the message to the farmers. Then, are there any limitation in defining the steps for flows? No. How many maximum steps can be added to the flow? Abhishek, can you answer that? Is there any limit as of today, or that is
Uh,
very
Actually, I wanted to understand what is the meaning of limit. Like,
like
can you just?
like level one, level two, level three?
Oh, no, no, no. So you can create as many
Yeah.
flows and messages as you like. Yeah, there's no limit as such.
Then Sharad is asking what will be the cost per message. So there are two costs per message. We'll be sending the link to the day-to-day pricing of the message. But typically it is there are two types of messages. One is a two-way communication message where I send you a message and you have to respond within 24-hour window. Those type of messages have certain cost. Then there are broadcast messages which are sent on a pre-scheduled basis to a number of users that is having certain other cost. So, Abhishek, can you just confirm that pricing as of today for these two
Yeah.
types?
Yeah, so session message is 7.5 paisa per message, and the template message, the other one is 35 paisa per message.
So when Abhishek is saying session message, it is basically for a two-way automated interaction. That's a session message, which is 7.5 paisa per message, and for a broadcast message, which is templatized, that is a 35 paisa per message. So then, how can we automate the message for market price? And this will be hyperlocal. Yes. So there will be, this has been asked by Sultan Ahmed from Dhwani. So so see, this is to be done by doing certain backend integrations. There are certain, so all the data which comes from the farmers can be codified into certain location or certain crop or a combination of that. Based on that, we can either have a static data set at the backend which will be queried, and that data set is for that date for that day's price, and by that combination which is sent by the farmer, against that the price will be queried in the database. And the database could be as simple as an Excel sheet. In a Google sheet, we maintain daily prices. You get it from somewhere. You maintain an Excel sheet. Data will come onto the Glific platform. The query will be run using that as an input to fetch the price for that combination, and that will be pushed back to the farmer. So when we say hyper local in that sense, that unit of hyper local we have to decide, and we should have information from both the sides available, from the farmer side as well as market side, so that we can do a combination of it. So Joshi Bhavani Prasad is asking, so it is our data or Glific will also have data like POP? It is all the data and all the content is yours. This is a platform in which data is shared by you, and data is content is uploaded by you. We set up the processes and workflows to use that. Right? Then I'm just going down to further questions. Then Srivatsan Rajaram is asking, is there a way third-party apps like Google Sheets, MS Excel interact with Glific? Yes, it is already a working feature and integration done. I like to create a flow with data in Google Sheets and have a flow created automatically in Glific. Yes. So that integration is already there. I'll give you a scenario where say a foundation had to distribute a lot of COVID material or COVID relief to different beneficiaries, and all the queries had to be seen in a final database. So that was the Google Sheet when we say the database. So all data came there, and based on the individual query, certain automated response also had to be sent to them. Say if someone is COVID severe, COVID mild, or certain case, based on that certain case category, we had to send certain automated response. So that is a working integration as we speak today, and the logics for integrations are customized as per the program. Then Joshi Bhavani was asking, you are talking about session and template, which Abhishek is correct to mention. Answer that. Okay. Then apart from message, will there be any other cost for platform and bots? Yes. So there is a one-time setup cost, what Abhishek has mentioned, and there is a monthly cost to it. And
So
depending on the nature of effort and setup required, that will determine the cost at that time. Of
Shobha,
setup
should I
and
just paste the link here for the SaaS and all the costing?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
So then SMS service has cost 10. So this has been asked just a minute, on the costing. Sharad is asking, SMS service has cost of 10 paise per message for broadcast. What extra benefits will we get in chatbot? So, sir, there are a lot of what we showed on the platform. If you are looking at the chatbot only for cost benefit, then I would not advise this as the ideal solution. Then maybe the SMS service might be the ideal solution for you. Chatbot is much beyond the cost saving. First of all, the per message cost, which Vijay mentioned, for the session messages, which are the interactive messages, that is 7.5 paisa. And the problem with the SMS is that the open rates are quite less. The advantage with WhatsApp messages is that it is open 24/7 in front of the eyes of the users, so they can't ignore it unless it is totally irrelevant for them. Fine. So that is the first thing. So here we are talking beyond the per unit cost, but in any case, it is quite affordable at a scale also. Then what are the extra benefits we will get in chatbot? Like what we showed in the whole demo, the customizable workflows, the conditional two-way interaction, and all the dashboard integrations based on the responses received. So as an end output, you can always see that how many farmers for which crop shared what type of query in certain region or certain month. so that you are very much well prepared in advance for certain market or input related queries. Then Ramkumar is
Yeah.
asking.
So just to add to that bit, like with SMS, the difference with SMS and WhatsApp is also the ability to make it rich with all of their attachments, formatting, text, and also the two-way, like getting users response back from SMS and measuring it and analyzing it is a bit challenging. So all of those, extra benefits you do get as well.
Then, then Ramkumar is asking, is Glific a recognized WhatsApp BSP like Twilio? So basically, Glific is built on a BSP, which is Gupshup. So
Right.
that's how it works. And so Glific is just take it as a layered architecture where at the bottom there is WhatsApp, then there is Gupshup. So just like there is Airtel for normal telecom messages, there is Gupshup for the WhatsApp messages. And so Gupshup and WhatsApp. So Gupshup is one of the licensed message providers on behalf of WhatsApp, and we have built a software on top of Gupshup to create the messages and send the messages. That's how you can visualize that. Then are there any limitations in getting interactive messages template approved? So can you answer this?
Yeah. I'll do that. So now there are two types of messages. There is interactive message, which I showed a preview of. So there you don't need any approval from WhatsApp. That is a session message. But for the other HSM template messages, which also has buttons and interaction, for those you do need to get it approved. The only limitation is, I mean, and WhatsApp has their own guidelines, is that it shouldn't have promotion. It should be it should refer to some conversation that has happened previously with the end user, so that there's familiarity, so as to avoid any kind of spamming format. So those are some of the things that you may need to take care of when you're submitting that message for approval.
Thanks. Then there is question: is there a package or method available to complete the order completion flow? So okay, so you're talking about order completion in terms of say a vendor has to sell something and you want to complete order. If that is the use case, then that is a workflow which can be created and which can your team can be trained to customize or tweak it as per your changes. Say tomorrow you want to add a new product and a new price for it, so that way you can. But detailed, say, payment gateway integrations for an order completion using a WhatsApp chatbot system, that is something which
Yeah, we don't have that out and out like
yeah.
other commercial bots. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are other commercial bots which provide this, and so we, in our experience, have come across some other bots which provide such type of solution, and they are used typically in business domains. But some of the agriculture domain companies are also using that for their marketing and different access. So that is something which we can cover as separate scope as a follow-up or a different demo webinar. But yeah, let's answer to the specific question. Do we have ability to give selective access to chats to different people in the admin portal? Yes. That you can do location-wise or based on certain languages, you can create permissions. Will
And
the price
different, sorry, Shobit, different people meaning the staff member people or staff, right?
right? Yeah, individuals.
Okay.
So, like we had shown on the platform also.
Okay.
Then Yogesh is asking, will the prices vary depending on the number of users, farmer or staff? Is the single message or two-way message means all the to and from replies in a particular session? Yes. So let me help you out how you calculate the cost for your chatbot. So basically, just assume that you have one farmer, and for one farmer, you are engaging in a basically first you send a automated message to them on a given Monday, for example, that you have this information. Basically, for crops, you can follow these advice. For more information, please press 1, 2, or 3, or like this. So this is the initiation which you do by a bulk message or to say 1 or 100 farmers. In response to that, you can also then start a basically they can type hi hello, and based on that they can start an interactive flow. So there are two types of messages in which you have to track that how many one-time unicast messages you are sending to a farmer into 0.35 paisa. Say you are sending 4 messages per month. So 4 into 0.35 is the per month cost of unicast message into them. Then there is an interactive message for which a farmer will type hi, and based on that a menu will come. They will then press 2 or 3. So both the messages sent by farmer and sent by us, they are chargeable at a rate of 7.5 paisa per message. So you have to say that we will engage on a weekly interactive session with the farmers. Approximately there will be 15 to 20 messages per session, both sides included. So that those 20 messages into 7.5 paisa is my one session cost for a farmer. Like that, I will have 4 sessions. So that is my monthly session cost for the farmer. And the earlier one, broadcast message, what I showed you, the 35 paisa, that's the total broadcast message cost. Multiply this with total number of beneficiaries, you will get a total cost of the WhatsApp message cost. Now, on top of it, there is a fixed cost, which is the backend server and maintenance cost, which is approximately in the range of 7,500 per month for the whole server rental of this. So that's a recurring monthly cost for you on this. Then we have Sultan. Is there a chance to decrease the current price? No. So see, these are like prices by Airtel. So if Airtel has a fixed price to a message, so there is no negotiation which happens on each price point because it is already quite a low cost provided by them. Do we get the confirmation of links if it is open by the users? So
we don't really have link tracking. Like WhatsApp doesn't give it inbuilt link tracking, but there can be link trackers that you can use separately. Like as an add-on, this thing. Like if you use a YouTube link, then YouTube will give give their own analytics platform how many people visited. So like that you can do it, but WhatsApp doesn't itself provide such a feature.
Right. So yeah. So with that, we have tried to cover the query which had come. If in case we have not answered anything very specifically, you can please unmute yourself also and ask your questions verbally also.
Yeah, or if anybody has a follow-up question to anything
Yeah.
that we've discussed.
Okay. So what? So Glific will send a monthly bill based on the use of platform at the end of month.
Yeah, so this process is uh, automated actually with the credit card. But if you feel that credit, bank transfers, NEFTs, or other methods are preferable, then we can also do like quarterly billing, where we raise an invoice and you can pay for it through NEFT.
Then Erika, do you think below are good use cases for chatbot carrying out a farmer survey? Second, collecting farmer data in terms of crop they are growing, expected harvest quantity. Yes. What we advise is to have ways which do not have very detailed questions and very text-driven responses. As long as these are 4 or 5 questions, quite objective in nature, this is always a good use case. It has been used in other cases also for this type of survey. Yeah.
Also,
So,
yeah. Also, Erica, it depends on like what kind of data you're also collecting. So like we showed validations and everything. It all how the tidiness or cleanliness of the data will depend on that also. But overall, yeah, I think you can create such flows.
So one final comment which we wanted to make was that we have shown this chatbot as a user, the farmer is the end user of the chatbot. A lot of you might be also thinking that if a farmer is not literate and they are not able to access this, and there is obviously sometimes genuine access to technology restriction that they don't have a smartphone, they don't have internet access. So in that case, what we promote is a facilitated use by the community resource persons because they also need a lot of this information on a very hands-on basis. That I am on ground as a CRP and I want to advise certain set of farmers who are growing certain set of crops. So I should have all the information on my tips, which is then possible to the chatbot. So look at this as a solution not just for the farmers but also for your field staff and whatever information they want, the training which you want to do for the farmers, that can be done on the platform by sharing content on their specific use case. Yeah. So since we are nearing to the closure, we have shared I'll just summarize how you can now reach out to us for the next steps if anyone is interested to now take this up. There are two ways in which we implement the solution. One is a self-managed solution in which your team ideally, so basically there would be initial support obviously provided, But on a day-to-day basis, it is your team which wants to continue doing the changes and setting up initial flows and managing the thing. So that's the self-managed flow or the setup which we call, for which you can reach out to Glific directly. And Abhishek will just share the email ID to reach out for that purpose, or the link to reach out for that purpose. In case where your requirement is a managed service, where you want a dedicated tech team and a functional team, which is coming from the grassroots level understanding, where even the solution has to be first designed and prototyped and developed before making it live. So basically, where inputs are required from some agriculture experts or some agriculture background people to help you design the flow and to do some additional detailed customizations or integrations, that is where you can reach out to Dhwani for a more long-term and a dedicated service-based approach. Right? In any case, Dhwani and Glific work at the backend together to roll out the whole technical product for you. And Glific provides a one-time initial consulting and setup support to you. Then you can use in that model. Dhwani provides the ongoing dedicated team to change or manage the setup for you, which you can go for the second model. So yeah, that's the summary of the engagement model for this. We are at 4:59. If there are no further queries, we can in a minute then close. And I want to just thank everyone for participating here. Any last minute questions, any queries, please feel free to ask. Okay, fine. So I think there is no further query. No, now I think we are good to close. Then we have shared our email IDs. Please feel free to reach out, and we'll then accordingly respond to your queries. Okay, so I'm closing the call. Thank you very much for attending. Bye. Good evening.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you.